Hello and welcome. Another try and fly. It's actually a new aircraft. I just bought it 2 days ago. It's the LatinVFR A318. And I had my German live try and fly yesterday. But I know that there's also an interest that I do at least some of the aircraft I test in German, that I also do that in English. So I think the LatinVFR is worth showing. In case you wonder why it's the A318, which is probably the aircraft that had the least economic success for Airbus. I think there were about 92 of these aircraft built, and active flying nowadays are just about 25 or so, if even. And most of them are in sort of private hand or government used. There are two airlines that still use them to date. That's Tarom, the Romanian airline here, and the other one is Air France. I think Air France has about 2 or 3 of them left in service, and Tarom uses also a single-digit number. Most of these aircraft are, I don't know what they have actually done with them. It's not that they are really, really old, but they have never been a success. And one of the reasons that I read in some web site is that Airbus thought that they could classify it as a regional jet and therefore saving costs to the airlines. And that hasn't really come up like that. So it ended up being classified like any other of the larger Airbuses. And that's one of the probably several reasons why this never really took off. This is really a small aircraft. I'm not sure how many passengers. I think around 100 and something. So it's a relatively small aircraft with relatively small number of passengers compared to, let's say, an A321, for that matter. So there had been several airlines that used them, but again, especially COVID probably has kind of started the end of the A318 big time, because during the COVID times, when a lot of aircraft were taken out of service, the A318 seems to have not made it back in large numbers. So this is the aircraft we're looking at, and it's LatinVFR. Now, don't be fooled. If you buy a LatinVFR aircraft, you will get a arcade-style aircraft, which is, if you remember how the Airbus was right at the beginning of Msfs 2 years or 3 years ago, that's about the level of what this aircraft offers. Maybe not quite as bad, but basically. So I would have never spent €19 if I wouldn't have known that there is a mod, a Horizon Sim mod. Horizon, if you know that name, is a freeware group that has produced the A330neo, also a mod to the Boeing 787, and also, amongst some other things that they did, mods of all the 4 LatinVFR smaller Airbuses. Unfortunately, they have not done a mod of the A330, which is a pity, because I actually bought myself the LatinVFR A330 and I wasn't overly fussed with it. Have I actually done a try and fly? Oops, maybe we need to do that. Need to publish one for that as well, I guess. But for these here, if you get the Horizon Sim mod, you get basically fly-by-wire level functionality, because it uses SimBridge. By the way, now that I've been talking about the SimBridge, we quickly start it up. because I don't do automatic startups. I always want to be in control. So see here I'm in SimBridge. I use the start in the fly-by-wire installer. There are other ways of starting it, but that's the way I do it. So now the SimBridge is running and we should be seeing something showing up. And let me switch also the view now. Should be seeing something popping up as soon as SimBridge is connected to the aircraft. So from a modeling, yeah, I mean the modeling is okay. As usual, it looks a bit shiny. The Tarom livery, I think, is actually quite okay. Also from the resolution and all that. It looks a little bit plasticky, the whole thing, but it's not really that bad. So reasonable modeling, no problem there on the outside. So it's good. We also have a relatively good looking cockpit, as you can see here. And due to the mod, we get the fly-by-wire EFB with practically all the functionality that the fly-by-wire EFB offers, which is actually quite good, and it makes this aircraft really usable. Without it, as I say, I probably wouldn't have spent money. Why the A318? Yeah, I just explained it. We're probably not going to get an A318 from any of the other developers. Therefore, taking the A318 from LatinVFR is sort of a cheapish way to have this aircraft with reasonable, good functionality. And when Phoenix comes out, I think they want to do an A319 and an A321. Anybuilds is coming up with an A320. Not sure why, but okay, fair enough. I mean, we only have the Neo from fly-by-wire. I'm not sure what fly-by-wire is planning with regards to other Airbuses, but I guess in some shape or form we're going to get A319s and A321s and A320s from various developers, hopefully all in a reasonable way with reasonable complexity. We shall see. With Phoenix, that's probably quite true. With Anybuilds, we have to see how good it is. There had been some stories around that, but I'm not going to dive deeper here now. Right then. One thing, if you know my channel, one thing that I always look for in well done add-ons is checklists that are comprehensive and that can even be used as autocomplete in order to have automatic procedures for the quick setup. Forget that here. Okay, so in this aircraft you're back to the basics. You have to do everything yourself, which is okay. I'm just saying, for me this is one example for quality, is when someone, for example, like Just Flight with the BAE 146 has fantastic this procedure, the whole standard operating procedure is put into the Msfs checklist and is automized so that you actually can start the engines and everything. So you can really use this, especially when you're alone in the cockpit, VATSIM is blurring at you. You can use these to quickly set up things or quickly get into the state that you need to get. Cheap aircraft like this here, you cannot expect that to be in there, unfortunately. But Airbuses are not that difficult, so let's have a look. So before we look at the aircraft itself, let me also say I'm not going to explain all this here because this is fly-by-wire. So if you need to know how this EFB works, go and look at the fly-by-wire documentation because it's basically the same thing. So Horizon Sim is, I think they've gone together now with the fly-by-wire team, so which makes an awful lot of sense. So this can only be a benefit for us simmers here, and it's all free. You know, it's fantastic. I really wonder what the A380 will look like, which is most likely coming this year with the 2024. I think, if I heard it correctly yesterday, with when 2024 comes out. I hope it also be available for 2020, because I'm not intending to install a second MS flight simulator anytime soon. So I'll be flying here 2020 for some time to come. Once I have updated my rig, which I plan to do this year at some point in some shape or form, I might reconsider, but knowing that there's even a higher demand on the network connection, as far as I understand, for the new sim, that is a bit of a challenge for me, especially when I want to stream. So I need to wait and see how that looks like when 2024 comes out. But I'm seriously hoping that the A380 will also be available for 2020. I hope they're not solely developing it for 2024. That would be a shame. We shall see. Back to this Airbus here. You can import SimBrief data. You need to set your login, and then you need to, sometimes you need to press several times on the button, I think, or it looks like the data has already been read. So we don't have the real weather, so this is not exactly correct here, what we see here. And yeah, here's the flight plan with the fuel. Unfortunately, the font is a little bit odd, so it's actually not so easy to read, but still fantastic that we have SimBrief integration. Here you can control everything around the aircraft, so we can call up the stairs, we can open the cabin door, we can call up the baggage truck, the ground power unit, and yeah, we could even call for the catering truck, and that'll bring the whole circus to connect here. Yeah, the performance is reasonable. So on my system, depends on which tool I use. When I use the Shift Z, it shows me a frame rate of about 42. When I use my other tool at the bottom there, it usually is a little bit lower than what Shift Z shows, but we are definitely in the 40s here. During the flight, it can drop a little bit and can fluctuate, but all in all, it stays in this safe area for VATSIM. So we're not approaching 20. I have a weak setup. My CPU is old. This whole PC is 8 years old, but it's still going strong. Yeah, you can compare it with the big OLED monster PCs that some streamers out there have, but it's still going fine. Oh, that was a quick one. Are we already done? Oh, well then. Okay, so let's fire up the aircraft. So the first thing we do is that we activate the battery and connect the and then quiet down that alarm bell. I'm going to turn on the nav light, but I haven't been in an Airbus for quite some time. So let's start the alignment for these here. And test of the APU. Let's check. Yeah, we get some indications. That's fine. And then we go on to start the APU. 2, 3, start. We'll arm the spoilers. Set the seatbelt signs on. Turn on the light. test the annunciators. The click spots in this aircraft are sometimes difficult. Then we do the fire test for the other. And partially we can see now that frames drop. So once the systems start, we see fluctuations, and we are actually below 40 now. But that's something that happens with a lot of aircraft. But here you can see we've dropped now from 40 to something around 36, 34. Again, Shift Z shows us something different, partially. But yeah, there's a lot of fluctuation now. But still, it is actually okay. There's no problem here. So here's our steering tiller. I didn't see that one yesterday. But you can steer the aircraft with the rudders, at least the way it is set up at the moment. Now, if you have this aircraft new, what you should definitely do is go to aircraft options. Nope. Sim options, calibrate. Yeah, you have to go to the calibrate here, and then you need to set up your throttle levers and save and apply. Don't forget, and make sure. I have 2 independent axes, but if you have only one lever for your thrust, then set this to 1. I don't have a reverser on the axis, so I have this off. I use the toggle reverse mode thingy, which allows me to then switch to reverse and then use the throttle levers in order to then reverse sort of the direction of the levers going further backwards to have reverse thrust. That's the way I do reverse thrust here. So set this up once, toga on axis. I'm not sure why we have this option. Can't remember what that was in fly-by-wire. Yeah, if you again, you need to start the sim bridge if you want to use some of the functionality. The sim bridge, and yeah, it's all fly-by-wire. Please look at the manual of the fly-by-wire. Then if you go here, you can go to fuel, and you can sort of refuel the aircraft, or you can download actually the fuel. That's I'm not doing, because actually SimBrief was a little bit 1800 is probably correct because we're doing a short flight, but I take a little bit more than that. And also the payload, you could use again the SimBrief option, and it will set you up with the SimBrief loads here. Also regarding the luggage, I guess you can see that here. The way it has calculated this, and we have a zero fuel weight of 24.99 or 25, and we are nicely in the allowed area, so absolutely no problem where we have things. This looks quite good. There's a pushback functionality, but I usually don't use this, and today we don't need it because we're just going to start up the engines. We don't require pushback. So looks like these services have, can't remember that. Why are they so fast? I would have expected that eye control when they go away, but as we see, they have it. They are of a different opinion. Let me make these a little bit brighter. Okay, so all the doors are closed now. So let's try and continue here. First up here. So we've got all the fire tests done, and I'm going to enter the flight plan now, but let's quickly go through here. Yeah, APU bleed. Let's turn that on and provide some air conditioning. For the passengers, we don't have anti-ice. We don't require anti-ice measures at the moment. The nav is on. We can put the strobes on auto so that it comes automatically. And I think that should be it. Let's go and program the FMC, which is actually more or less exactly the same way as in the fly-by-wire, so FMGC. You can see that we are a CFM56. The ARAC is old. Okay, I need to update the ARAC. Here, okay. Let's go to init. And you can do an init request. If there is a fly-by-wire set up, it will actually put in everything. Let's do a cost index of 35. Light level 140. My usual Try&Fly scenario. Clear. Uplink insert in progress. GPS primary. Check weight. Oh, come on now. All right, then let's get to page number 2. You can click here and it will put in the current weights, which is quite handy. If you click on fuel planning, it will give you the block fuel 2.8. But we do actually have a bit more. Well, I thought that we have some more fuel. Let's quickly check the displays here. So they're all looking quite good. So our fuel at the moment is 3.4. So I'm going to correct the fuel with the existing value. And so that's that part. Next is the performance page. Transition altitude is 5,000. And well, there isn't really a calculation for the takeoff. So at least not that I remember. So if you go to the calculator, it gives you only top of descent and landing calculations. There doesn't seem to be any takeoff calculations. So we're going to yeah, by the way, if you have a Navigraph subscription, I haven't done that, but you can actually connect to your Navigraph should you have one. This is actually VATSIM, very nice. It shows you active stations. That's something I really love with all fly-by-wire based aircraft. Yeah, some ATAs. Here's a comprehensive set of checklists. They're not automated and they're not the procedures, so you need to know what you have to do because otherwise it won't work. And you can actually use presets to load. So cold and dark, powered, ready for pushback, ready for taxi, ready for takeoff. And then quite a few settings, but I'm not going to go through the fly-by-wire here, okay. By the way, you can also do interior lighting for the cabin. There is no cabin, I have to say, at least not that I know. The LatinVFR doesn't have a cabin. No. There's also a short cut here to the checklist from the main page. And if you are flying with real weather, you can use the here the weather reports. Okay, so back to this. So I usually do something like up 0. Let's use 0.2. Flex temperature of 45 should do nicely. And if you have done everything correctly, you will get RV speed. So our go speed is 123. More or less, when the V1 call comes, you can immediately continue with rotating the aircraft. Yeah, the lighting is quite okay. And now let's see, so the flaps are up and are in sync. So let's quickly use the clear 2000. And hopefully I don't forget, but usually when I do these flights I'm not slavely following the whole procedure. Now put these on 1000 and then I can dial in 4000. So we have dash dot altitude dot dash. I'm usually cycling the autopilot once. Also make sure that side stick priority. Aha, okay, that's not coded. Side stick priority is on my side. All right then. What else do I have to do? Terrain. Oh yeah, by the way, terrain is available. Fly-by-wire. Here's the radio stuff. Here's the weather radar. Also that is available. The speed brake can be armed by pulling it out. And the cockpit door, well, yeah, what can I say? There is no door that you can open, but we simulate the locking mechanism. That's the displays. All right, let's quickly check. Yep. I realized that my rudders don't seem to work. I thought that I had them reset. It could also be the fact that we don't have hydraulics yet. See? No, okay. For some reason, my unplugging and plugging it in again, I have to do this every time I start this PC. For some reason, the rudder pedals that I have did not register. So I usually need to do that. Okie dokie. I think that's it. We don't need more than that. We can look through the other pages. That's the progress page. Looks as usual. That's the performance. We've just been in. Next phase is a manage climb, cost index 35, manage 250. And you could actually produce a pre-select value. That's the init page. We have been at that data. I'm not sure what of that functions. ECAS print function. I guess some of the ATC stuff might actually work here. I haven't tried it yet. Let's see, connection status, active ATC. Well, we aren't connected. There is a Hoppy integration, so theoretically we can use the Hoppy network for doing that kind of stuff. AOC menu, let's go to here. Let's do a weather request for EDDS. Oops, no, hang on. Meta send. And then messages received. Meta from VATSIM, new. There you go. EDDS, EDDM. We don't have weather, but this is actually functionality that's been put in. Yeah, fly-by-wire. You can see how a almost arcade type aircraft with practically no real additional functionality is made to a really useful aircraft for us by the Horizon mod. Fantastic, and thanks to the team. This is really a great contribution here for the community. Right then. We are basically done, and we're We're now going to prepare for pushback. What you can always do is now, let's quickly go to the cockpit. Preparation gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity is 3.4 tons. Seat belts are on. ADIRs are on nav, and the biro reference is 1013 on both. Before start checklist, the parking brake is set. Takeoff speed, thrust set, windows closed. Beacon is on. Should have probably put it on when I started the APU. Yep, and next checklist would be after start. So let's turn off the dome light. And inform the boys down there that we are going to start the engines, get clearance that we are allowed to. Put this here into the ignition mode, ignition start, and we start with the right engine, the other left. The sound is actually quite loud compared to some other aircraft. Okay, and stabilized, is it? I think it is. Does it come up with a available? Yeah, nice. Number 2, number 1. The left, right, the left engine. So let's so we're going to disconnect also the external power. I'm not sure if, yeah, it is still connected, so let's disconnect it. Yeah, it stays available, so I don't think these two are directly linked. Yeah, as usual, everything needs to be dark normally. We have 2 good starts, it seems. Alright then. Let's turn off the APU. It will spool down, probably with a delay. Again, fly-by wire. Then it's flaps 1 plus F. Going to put the auto brake on max. And we're not going to look at these. This is something I find a little bit awkward in Msfs. I would like to be able to get rid of all the clutter around me, because basically we always have to drive through vehicles at the airport. That is not good. I don't really like that, to be honest. It's not realistic. But hey, here you go. All right, now let's quickly go through the After start checklist, so anti-ice not required, ECAM status is checked, pitch trim is, oh yeah, 0.2 up. Let's quickly check that. 0.2 up. Rudder trim is neutral. So next is the taxi checklist. We're on the right page. Let's first do the flight controls checks. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral. So that was the flight controls check. Flap setting 1+F, configuration 1+F, radar and predicted wind shear. We're going to turn on. Put them all on. So then we're going to arm the speed brake. Engine mode selectors is normal. ECAM memo. Take off. No blue. That's the taxi checklist completed. Next is the lineup. Okay, we've got taxi clearance. I'm going to release the parking brake. It will immediately start rolling, so be aware of that. And watch out, because the steering, the front wheel, when you do a curve like this, you have to counteract, or you have to center your rudder pedals early enough, because it takes quite some time to move. So if you use very quick, very strong pressure on your rudder, you might end up overshooting things or going into the opposite direction, because it will take a long time, and it gets fast. So I apply brakes, little pushes on the brake, because otherwise we're going to get a little bit fast. We're already in 21 knots, so let's slow down here a bit. And I think I forgot to turn on the taxi light, because it is somewhat dark. Indeed I did. Yeah, here's the taxi light. Not that that is very bright, and again I have to use the brakes here because it tends to go fast, and the views tend to be all over the place as usual in Msfs. See here, so because I was using now the rudder pedals very quickly, and that does not work too well with this aircraft. I'm not sure what the fly-over-wire did. So anyway, parking brake is set. Let's quickly go through the lineup. So takeoff runway 07, TCAS, TARA, packs 1 and 2, they stay on, and that's the last checklist for the takeoff. So cleared for takeoff, a runway 07. So I'm going to turn on the whole lighting circus. The strobes should come on automatically, and the taxi light we're going to put into the takeoff position, which is a little bit brighter. Line up. And as I say, it's speeding up quite quickly, so I apply the brakes. I use actually the dot key, which is linked to the brakes, because it does synchronously brake. If I use the brake pedals, it can be a little bit yeah, it's hard to get them really synchronous, the brakes. So, yeah. And don't forget, you can easily overshoot in your turns. All right. Now, I'm moving forward. Manual flex 45 SRS. And now careful with the steering. V1. It doesn't announce it, by the way, so you need to do it yourself. Go. And then you just follow the light director, positive rate, gear up. Acceleration altitude, I bring back into the climb detent, and now I'm going to turn on the left autopilot. Autopilot 1 engaged, climb, nav, throttle climb. And we're getting towards the S speed, flaps up. And I realized that somehow I don't seem to have a flight plan. At least not in the VFD. So how come? I guess I need to enter it again. Yeah, putting it in doesn't seem to work very well. Let's clear that one. There's the top of descent, top of climb, Abtal, Magat. Yep, now I have a display. I was kind of wondering. And you can now nicely see it calculates the top of climb. By the way, transition altitude, that was a little bit sketchy. You need to find the arrow down to go into standard. So frames in and around, see, well, that's the thing. My one display shows me about 30. The Shift Z one shows me 40 something. So is a bit more optimistic when it comes to the frames. Anyway, the picture is smooth. Again, for those that don't know, I have an 8-year-old PC with an i7-7700K, 4.2 gigahertz, 16 gigabyte of DRAM, level 4, kind of with 3 gigahertz. So it's compared to what's available nowadays with 5 RMs and all that, and higher frequencies and very powerful CPUs. It is actually a slow one. So we reached our cruise. No, we haven't yet. 10,000. Yeah, sometimes, as I say, the click spots can be a little bit sketchy. Yeah, a little bit is an. Are they off now? I can't get them turned off. See that the arrow here? That's a real bummer. Come on, toss that. Hang on, there was a lights one. So let's turn off taxi light. Where's the landing lights? All right then. So strobe light should be in mode, and I can let you get up now. So ground spoiler is still armed. No portable devices, instead of the no smoking. And we have outer tank fuel. Okay, what have we got here? Let's see. Enter destination data. Yeah, we'll do that in a moment. What was the message here? Outer tank fuel transferred. Aha, so it does some automatic fuel transfer, it sounds like. Yeah, well, anyway. Enter destination data, so we go to performance and next. So QNH is 1013. Temperature is 15. The wind is 92 with 2 knots, so practically no wind. Transition altitude 6000. We take radio as a decision height of 200. I'm also going to test the auto land, and that's it. So we've almost reached Abtal. So with the mod, this is a really nice Airbus, I have to say. And it was a German YouTuber called Cockpit Lyrics. He actually made me change my mind. I didn't want to invest in the LatinVFR. I heard that there is a mod, but I just thought, no, why? What for? You know. But he had a video. He showed the A318. The reason that he took it, yeah, I explained already, and that made so much perfect sense to me that I thought, what the heck, 19 euro, this is the cheapest of the 4 from LatinVFR, and the mod, and I have actually a reasonable Airbus, and I have something that is not in every hangar of every simmer. So that's the reason why I actually took it. So it's looking quite good, I would say. The sound is reasonable. I'm not sure if it's also modded or if this is the original sound. It's hard to say, because I haven't tried the unmodded version. Now, since this is an Airbus, we're not going to automatically go into descent. So we're approaching the top of descent, which is another, let me see. So top of descent is in a few minutes. Where's the distance? 31 nautical miles. No, can't be. 12 nautical miles is the top of descent. We're almost there. Or? So there are some smudges and markings here on the window, but it's actually quite good. There's no unnecessary. At least I haven't seen any really obstructing. I haven't seen any obstructing kind of reflections, as you've seen in the dark. There wasn't really anything. There are sometimes really very badly made reflections that are actually that hinder you. They make your view out worse. And for me, this is what we're in a simulator here. Maybe in real life it can be like this, but why do we have to simulate crap like that? Because I have enough to do, and I don't need reflections on instruments that make it almost impossible for me to read instruments. Even if it's realistic, it's nonsense to have that in the simulator, because we have really a lot of other things as single pilots that we have to care about. Why make our lives even harder by crap like that? My personal opinion. And here, at least as far as I have tested it so far, it's really good. All right, now we're going to use number 1. So let's go to the approach. So the barrel ref, yeah, we're going to set it in a moment. Seatbelts are coming on when we get into the descent. Minimum 200 and auto brake 1 and engine mode selector normal, because we have normal weather here. There's no reason to have it on. So we're almost at the top of descent. I'm going to set 5,000 now. And then we use managed descent. Yeah, and you can also see it's roughly around 35 nautical miles, 34 nautical miles from Magat. That's usually where I personally also put my my descent. So I'm activating the descent. By the way, you can switch between track, magnetic track. Show you that. So you can between heading and track and vertical speed and flight path angle. That works. This is the metric altitude, so if you turn that, you will also see a meter value here, 1520 for example. So all of that works very nicely done. By the way, British Airways used to have these aircraft as well, and they did actually flights from City Airport, London City Airport, because this is the only Airbus that is actually capable. I think they had to mod it a little bit. That is theoretically capable of flying into and out of, yeah, I should try that one day, of London City Airport. And then they flew to Shannon because they needed to pick up some fuel. And then all the way over to JFK, New York. So we're now on the descent. Going to turn on the lights. It's easier to turn them on than it is to turn them off. And I should have probably retracted them. Yeah, there's no ding noise, at least. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if there doesn't seem to be an auto mode for the seatbelts here in this implementation. Okay, RRF is 1013 anyway. Seatbelts on, minimum 200, auto brake, engine mode selector. So we're now on 250 because we are below 10,000. It has reduced the speed. Now there's something worrying here. Why is the rut out? Hello? What do you mean? Rammer turbine? Seriously? Can't be, can it? Well, that doesn't make sense. That might be still some little buggies here with the mod. I wouldn't really want the rammer turbine to be out. Really now. But there is no indication up here that anything that isn't supposed to be out is out. There? I can't see any lights on. So I guess that's just a little bug. So our speed is now down to 230. For some reason we're getting slower. Okay, but it looks like we are in a speed bracket. And it keeps the lower end of the speed bracket with 230. Alright, now, approach mode. Performance. Activate the approach phase. It's a bit too early. I think it automatically activates it. Now let's activate the landing system. We have already reception of India Mike November Echo, 109.5. 20 miles. So we're going to reach 5,000 well before Magat, which is good. We are past the transition level. Now 1013 is the level here. I use sun of weather. Altitude star. Now it's accelerating again to 250. That's a little bit strange. Didn't do that yesterday, or did it? No, auto brake low is set. I'm going to arm the approach mode. So we have glide slope armed, localizer armed, cat 3 single, radio 200, yeah, autopilot 1, we have both flight directors and auto throttle in speed mode. So at the moment we have alt and nav. The glide slope is coming in. Localizer green. Or star. capturing it now. Glide slope star. Speed mode, it's now reducing speed to 121. Glide slope captured. Localizer captured. So we need to wait now until we reach the clean speed, which is around 180, I think, or so. I'm gonna check. 169. Oh, yeah, it is a small aircraft, isn't it?
2,500.
Check. I'm going to help a little bit with the speed brake. Let's see. Oh yeah, it has quite a bit of yeah. Flaps 1. Because the speeds are so low, the flaps can be extended earlier. Flaps 2. 5 miles, gear down. Flaps 3. Flaps full. Flaps full is checked. The rut is still out. I'm going to activate dual mode, Cat 3 dual, which should allow us to do an auto land. Okay, getting my hands ready to intervene if that goes horribly wrong. We're now on the approach speed. So you need to make sure that you have the reverse setup done properly. So I use the toggle reverse mode. I have it here on my Bravo. I bring down the throttle levers beyond that click spot on the axis. That switches the mode, and then I carefully move my levers forward again, which then brings back the throttle levers even more, and we switch to reverse mode.
Minimum.
Continue. Well, normally in Autoland you wouldn't have 200.
$50, $40, $30, $20.
Interestingly, it did the retard itself. Ooh, that was a better landing than yesterday. So I'm now switching to reverse, and we are in reverse mode. $60 knots, manual braking. Autopilot is off. That was really smooth, I have to say. Better than yesterday. But yesterday was my very first flight. Sometimes it can be a little bit rough, because I'm still not used to it. I learned already yesterday, for example, the taxiing. All right, now let's quickly hold here. Then do the setup. So we're turning off the, well, we try to turn off those lights. Oh god, that is not good. Hey, taxi light on. Yeah, I didn't have them, so I'm going to turn off the strobes and 2, 3, start. Also going to start here. Then we bring in the flaps full. We'll make sure that the speed brake is also in, and we continue. And as you can see, we are quite early actually. It didn't take us very long to really bring down the speed and exit the runway, because normally I have to travel back from the next exit. This time I'm already on the bridge here that leads me to my usual position where I end the Try&Fly. But that's due to the very small aircraft. It's lighter, and yeah, it doesn't need as much runway, neither for takeoff nor for landing. And it's a good looking aircraft, I think. I like these smaller versions, like also the Boeing 737-600, which also wasn't really a huge financial success. Again, you have to let go of the wheel early enough. See, I'm off now, and see how long it actually still continues traveling to the right. I've learned now roughly when I have to let loose. Whoops. Ah, whoops, yeah, okay, we're a little bit on the fast side. For some reason the... Oh no, it does work this time. Oh no, it doesn't, it's a reflection. It's supposed to work with the Aerosoft one, but here you go, it doesn't. Right, then landing, we did the ICA memo, yeah, okay. Then after landing, radar and prediction, which you, yep, we should turn that one off. We shouldn't fry people. And also another one off. And then the parking brake on, engines off. Let me quickly check. Yeah, APU is on, so I can now turn off the engines. And what you can do now is you can activate the jet bridge. Strangely enough, here in Munich, they regularly destroy their jet bridges by using the wrong ones. Yep. And we can also already go for the baggage track. We can connect the ground power unit. For some reason the door aft has opened. Oh, interesting. Okay, guys, you have to go backwards, please. We're unloading the aircraft from behind this time. So here it is, the LatinVFR Airbus A318. It is a nice aircraft. The modeling is okay. It's not superb, but it's okay. It looks good, and with the mod. So where's the door there? Hang on. Door aft. Yeah. Oh, the magic Ah, well. With the mod, as you can see, it is actually quite okay. Was really good. I can't complain at all. It's one of the smoothest try-and-flies I've done, and this combination is really great. I think I can recommend the combination of the Horizon Sim mod and this LatinVFR Airbus says. I guess the other three are similar, so they're a bit more expensive though. The A318, I paid about 19 euro, and the other ones, they start being more expensive. I think 25 or so for the A319, and then 29 for the 320 and the 321, something like that. So the more popular ones nowadays are a bit more expensive. Why? I don't know. And the not so popular one, they made a bit cheaper so that maybe they sell some more units. And it worked for me. So it did. The price wasn't the only reason though. Well, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time.